Hey guys, I'm B from Board Games with B, and today I'm going to take you through the gameplay of Dog Park. This game is 1 to 4 players and it's played over 4 rounds with 4 phases. I'm going to take you through all of those phases, but I'll also take you through the game's setup. Now I've played this game solo and 2-player, and they use an auto walker system which is similar to an automa system. I'm going to show you a 2-player game so that you can get a sense for the auto walker so you know how the solo is played as well. The only difference with the solo is that it is done with 4 different levels of difficulty with different conditions to be met. Obviously when you have a 2-player game you're versing another opponent, and the auto walker is just added in to add some tension and create some challenge with getting the things that you want to get. So let's start now by taking a look at the setup. Okay, so this game really does have a whole lot going on. At the top you've got the forecast cards, which will change the bonuses for different phases in each round. So you've got like selection bonuses, different home time bonuses, or just general round bonuses. You've then got the breed expert track. So this is randomized each time by shuffling the breed expert cards. And this helps add the variability to the gameplay and change scoring each time. From the top, obviously worth more points going down. You've also got our walking track, which is one of the main phases of the game where you'll collect different bonuses based on what you land on. And we have location bonus cards, so these help to randomize that setup again, and you'll have a new one of those each round. There are 2 different types of location bonus cards. So you've got the plentiful parks, which are for 4-player games, and you've got the rerouted park, which is for a 1 to 3-player game, so we'll use the rerouted park for our playthrough. We also have a nice amount of resources here. We've got collars, which we use to put on walked dogs to signify they've been walked. You've got balls, toys, bones, and sticks, and those are the resources that you'll use to pay to select your dogs for walking. The field is probably one of the most important parts of Dog Park, so this is where we'll have our dogs that we select to put in our kennels and we'll later walk. The deck for this game is huge. We've got, I think there's over 220 cards, and you won't actually use the whole deck in one game. It's recommended that you split that deck in half. And just use half of that deck just to keep it more manageable, and it will also help add some extra variability in there with gameplay. Now you have different amounts of cards based on how many players you've got. This is only for 4 players. If we're playing with a 2-player game, because we use an auto walker, we still need a 3rd card. Just add a bit of extra strategy in there when we go through our recruitment and our bidding. There's also a handy little round track at the top of the board here. It's going to have its own little round tracker component when it's on this Kickstarter's finished, but for now I just use a cute little doggy that's spare. You score points along the VP tracker, going up when you gain points, going down when you spend them or if you lose them. Setting up our player boards is simple. We've got our kennel and we have our lead area, and just stick those 2 together. We start off with a walker token, and this is how we'll do our bidding and also the walking phase. All players begin with some resources to start the game, and we get a bidding wheel, so you can bid your VPs in order to recruit dogs. Your point tracker dog will start on the 5th place on the VP tracker. That's because you'll need some VPs to start off the rounds. Each player also receives 2 objective cards. They're personal objectives, they stay hidden. And you've got the standard ones or the experienced ones. They get you different points, but obviously different levels of difficulty. You're only going to keep one of these, so you'll choose that at the beginning of the game. And our first player is going to get our first player walker token. This will change round to round. Finally, each player also gets a little player aid card, double-sided, lets you know everything you can do and what everything's worth, and the phases, just little reminders. The auto walker is really simple, so you'll just take a spare walker marker. You've got a dice to determine where they roll, to determine where they move and what bid they place. And you've got this little extra one, and I like to use this just to have a specified place on the table where I put the auto walker's cards that they win in the bidding. So that's how you set up Dog Park. Now we'll head into the gameplay and begin with the recruitment phase. In the recruit phase, players will recruit 2 dogs to their kennel each turn. There will be no more than 2 dogs. And once that's happened, we move on to the next phase. Starting with the first player, they will bid for the dog that they want, and they will place a secret bid of how many VPs they're willing to pay for that dog on their bid wheel and keep that hidden. The other players will then choose their dogs, and the auto walker will always choose the dog that's worth the most on the breed expert track, and if there's 2 of those dogs, it will go to the furthest left dog. So the auto walker has contested this bid, which means that we'll roll the auto walker dice. Auto walker has rolled 2, and this player has bid 1, which means the auto walker has outbid that player. The auto walker receives that card, and I'll place that in their designated space. and this player will have to take this card and still have to pay 1 VP for it. Now that we've recruited 2 dogs into our kennel, it's time to go to the selection phase, and this is where you'll pay the resources on the card in order to walk those dogs. So I've got 2 balls and a bone, and I can spend those immediately to walk the dog. It goes on to my lead. This dog, I don't have enough resources, I've got 1 toy. What I can actually do is trade any 2 resources for 1 that I need, so I'll just do that and swap the sticks for another toy and walk this dog as well. Now with this selection, it's important to check for any selection bonuses the dog might have on the card. That will give you some extra things when you do. So that when you play this dog, when you select it, you actually get an extra toy. So you might want to think about the order in which you select your dogs as well, because it could help you select another dog in a later turn. Now you can select a maximum of 3 dogs to walk if you can pay the costs. Sometimes you can select a 4th depending on the conditions. There are special conditions which allow you to do that. It's also important to check the forecast cards because there might be some bonuses for selection or different phases. Now that we've selected our dogs, it's time to take them for a walk in the walking phase. Now with the walking phase, players can move between 1 and 4 spaces along the walking track and visit that space and get that bonus. These ones are pretty self-explanatory, obviously they're resources. This one will give you an extra VP. This symbol is called Scout and allows you to look at the top 2 cards on the dog deck and replace one of those with the dog in the field. It will help you planning for later. This one's been blocked for this round due to the location bonus card. And this one is our swap symbol. So this allows you to swap a dog in your kennel for a dog in the field. You can do this, mostly you would do this to trade out a lower scoring dog for a higher scoring dog. But if you have already walked that dog, you do lose the collar. Players can visit the same space as another player, but they'll have to spend a VP if they want to get that location bonus. The auto walker moves through a simple roll of the dice, and they don't get anything for going on there. It's just a way for them to get in the way of other players and make it a little bit harder for you to get what you want. When the auto walker gets to the split path, the first player gets to choose which direction that they go in. Some dogs have bonuses when they're walking, so whenever you gain 1 bone, you also gain a ball. Players will continue to move through the park at their own pace, but you need to be aware of those leaving bonuses at the end of the track. There are different leaving bonuses for leaving the park. The top space is only used in a 4-player game. Obviously it gets you 3 VPs, 2 VPs, 1 VP. This is or you can swap a dog in the field for a dog in your kennel and keep the collar. So that means you can score it for a higher scoring dog and not have to walk it again. And if you're the last out of the park, you get -1 VP, so you want to be careful of that pace. When the auto walker leaves the park, they always take the topmost available space, and then players will follow, choosing the space that they want. Once all players have left the park, it's time for the home time phase. During the home time phase, players will return their walkers to their board and get their leaving bonus. During home time, players will also place collars on the dogs that they've just walked, and then score 2 points per dog walked. If you had a dog in your kennel that had not been walked yet, you'd lose 1 point. Players then move their dogs from their lead back into their kennel and reset the board for the next round. If you've completed 4 rounds, it's now time for the final scoring. There are a few different ways to score in dog parks. So you've got the park board, which are collected during the game. You have the personal objective goals, the personal walker goals. You've got points from dogs with final scoring abilities on them. And you've got the breed expert majorities. And finally, every 5 resources is worth 1 point, so they're not worth too much at the end. So in working out the breed expert majorities, we're actually playing against the auto walker as well. If the auto walker has the majority of a breed, then then nobody gets the points. If a player and the auto walker tie, the player gets the points still. And if 2 players tie, then they both get the points. Obviously, if nobody has that breed, then nobody gets the points. And if a player has a majority, they obviously get their points. So that's Dog Park. Simple to play, a little more complex to get a handle on. The strategy is where this game is really strong. There's different strategies to get different things, and I think that comes down to the different scoring pathways. You've got people who might be more strong in the set collection, and you've got people who use tableau building more to their advantage. I really love that about this game, not to mention that it's beautiful and the theme is so fun. I'll link the Kickstarter in my description below so you can check that out if you think you might like to take a walk through the dog park. I'll see you next time. Bye!